This is what happens when fans go all out. Look at this. Perfect.
My half of the rent was $100 a month, and I wasn't sure how I was going to get it together. But anyway, all worked out.
So what neighborhood were you in where you actually saw the Blues Brothers movie being filmed?
It was right there. It was right
there?
at the mall. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd been here maybe a month, and I don't know where I was going, but I was on the DePaul campus. I was cutting across the field or something, and I saw Dan Aykroyd and some dude with like real long hair and whiskers and stuff, and they were just walking in, and the film crew was just just like running and gunning. They were just like stealing a scene, of Danny Aykroyd walking, and I thought anything can happen in Chicago.
The legacy of movies that were filmed here over there, especially in the 70s and 80s.
Well, they really kicked it off. I think the Blues Brothers really kicked it off because the Hollywood people saw that there were all the equipment houses here, all the crew people you could ever want, beautiful city, and all these actors, all these theater actors that you could hire to play the small parts. That's absolutely true.
Bueller.
And then he met Molly Ringwald during that process, and he wrote 16 candles for her over a weekend. He was amazingly fast. And so I knew John a little bit, and then I'd been working with Matthew for 6 months. So when I got the call back, I went to see the casting directors because they were a little worried about my age. But then they were like, no, you can do it. And, I auditioned with Matthew for John. I auditioned with my friend for a guy I'd already met, so it like fell out of the sky right into my lap.
Well, I heard also that Molly wanted the role of Sloane, and John Hughes said, that's not big enough role for you.
Maybe that's true, but it was funny because we were the first one of those movies where he didn't have part of his regular crew. He didn't have Molly. He didn't have Anthony Michael Hall, and he was a little nervous. John was. He was a little anxious about the whole thing.
Well, you talked about 16 Candles being written over a weekend. Ferris Bueller was written in 6 days.
That's right.
And you filmed it in under 90 days.
Yes.
And it was a $5 million budget. It made $70 million, so you made millions.
Because that's how it works. No, they got me cheap. They got me cheap on that. It is the gift that keeps on giving.
That's true. That's very true. But you, Matthew, a lot of the cast, as you were making it, you really didn't think this was going to be a hit.
No, I mean, I knew it was a really good part, and I knew that John was very popular, and his movies were very popular, and it just seemed like a natural extension of what I've been doing for almost a year with Broderick. It's just like, oh, we did a play together, now we'll do a movie together. But I had no idea. I wasn't even sure it was funny.
You saw it's true. Well, you saw a screening, and it wasn't complete, and it really also showed you how important the music was, and the production, and the editing to get it to where it was. Because when you first saw it, you saw it was very rough.
I did. I saw it. It came out in June, maybe almost July of that year, and I saw it in March. I saw a rough cut with Mia and Jennifer Grey and Jeffrey Jones. And another thing about actors, we're so self-involved. When you see yourself in a movie or a show for the first time, you only see yourself. Other fabulous things could be going on, but you only see yourself. And you usually do what we call post-mortems. It's like, why did I do that? Do I really look like that from behind? Why do I walk like that?
They bought it.
This is one of the prettiest cities in the United States. I mean, it really is. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
It is his love. It is his passion. It is his fault he didn't lock the garage.
Ferrari. If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up. It is so choice.
If you had access to a car like this, would you take it back right away? Neither would I.
John, a lot of times he'd tell me things about Cameron, or or people that he knew, or and I realized later on that he was telling me stories about his life. So the thing about the Red Wings jerseys, he said, Cameron has a terrible relationship with his father, but he has a great relationship with his grandpa. His grandfather lives in Detroit, and when he goes to see the old man, they go to Red Wings games, and so his grandfather bought him the jersey, and even though his father is very controlling about what I almost said my boy's name, I almost said Larkin, I almost said my son's name. Cameron gets to wear the Red Wings jersey is okay because it came from Grandpa, okay? I think that was John's story. I think that was something from John's life.
Interesting. Which happens a lot.
Yeah.
You write about yourself for sure.
Here's what you know.
Yeah. The Ferrari, always talked about. Was it really a Ferrari? I know there was some. No. It wasn't.
No.
Yeah.
First of all, well,
There's a logo of Ferrari.
first of all, you have to talk somebody into renting
Yeah.
their precious automobile.
Yeah. A lot of insurance.
So you have to do that. And then we found out that the insurance, even if that had happened, the insurance alone to keep a car like that on a movie set where things are getting moved all over the place, things are falling down, you crash around, was astronomical. So they had these kit cars that were fiberglass bodies over Mustang chassis.
Wow.
And they were crap. We had a lot of headaches with those.
So if they would have had to insure a Ferrari, you would have made that you did.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they gave the money to Al. Yeah, they're like, insurance or Alan? Oh. Yeah.
John Hughes, all of his movies were such a love letter to Chicago, but there were things in this movie that honored a lot of the other movies that he released, like the license plates on the cars. Did you know that?
There's Mr. Mom,
It was Mr. Mom, that was Dad's car, it was MMOM. Mom's car was National Lampoon's Vacation, it was VCTN. And Jeannie's car was TBC, it was the Breakfast Club. But he had those little hints, simple minds, don't you forget about me in his bedroom. I mean,
Yeah, it was like his little Hitchcock.
yes.
Yeah.
There are so many iconic scenes in the movies. Which ones that you were in did you enjoy the most or look back at and say, wow, that was a great scene?
I had a lot of fun at the ballpark, just because I had started out here in Chicago, and then I went away and I did a Broadway show, and I came back making a movie. I felt like a big shot. And I had spent a lot of time in Wrigley Field before there were lights.
That was an actual game, though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time in the bleachers when I lived here, so it just felt like coming home. It just felt completely easy, and that was still before lights, you know. So we had the ballpark for the morning, and then just as we were wrapping it up, the ball players started to come out to warm up on the field, and Tak Fujimoto was our cinematographer, and he was a Los Angeles guy, and I can't remember who Davey Lopes was playing for at that time, but he had been with the Dodgers, and Tak leans over, Davey, we miss you in LA. Yeah, that's cool. It's funny the stuff you remember.
They think it's it's the St. Patrick's Day parade, and it's not. It's the Von Steuben Day parade, which was a German parade that was going on in Chicago.
Yeah.
But it's the Fugitive had the St. Patrick's Day parade. Ferris had the Von Steuben, which is very popular still today.
Yeah. It's not I think it was, we started filming right after Labor Day, and I think the parade sequence was probably the first Saturday in October, maybe something like that. And the first Saturday was the actual parade, and we had our little float, and we would chug along for a couple of blocks, and then up down the side street, and then get back in line, and do like that. And then the second Saturday, all the close-ups with Matthew and the girls, and the songs and everything. And then Kenny Ortega, the choreographer, did a lot of second unit. Right, fabulous guy, amazing, talented guy. He did a lot of second unit work, like all the people dancing down the steps and on the scaffolding and all the crowd stuff. That was Kenny Ortega. Speed was great because the 105 freeway in Los Angeles had just been completed, but it was not yet opened. And 20th Century Fox made a deal with the Department of Transportation so we could use that freeway as our backlot. Wow. It was great. I mean, it was fabulous. There were, I think, a half a dozen different buses. One called the Popemobile. The driver actually sat on the roof, and Sandy Bullock had a dummy wheel that, just was, didn't do anything. She was doing some good acting, wheeling that bus around, because it was a guy named Gil up on the roof. And there was a plexiglass cage built onto the front of the bus so they could, put the cameras and shoot at Sandy or Keanu, whatever. And I had a lot of fun doing that. Sandra Bullock is a practical joker. And it's not always glamorous. My little dressing room on that movie was what you call a honey wagon, part of the honey wagon. And it's like a toilet and a place for you to change your clothes and a little bench so you can lie down and take a nap, right? And so the thing about these deals is the floor of these is about eye height and you have to walk up, right? And so one day after lunch, I'm going back to my little cubby hole. I open the door, and for all the world, it looks like there's an amazing pile of dog shit on the floor of my little cabin,
That's not fun.
What? And I go in, what happened? Who let their dog in here? And I see it's a Tootsie Roll cut into pieces and a piece of a Snickers bar that somebody has put little pebbles and twigs and stuff in to make it look more poopish, And I turn and go like this, and I see Sandy Bullock, and she's laughing so hard she can't stand up, So the next day I brought in a hot glue gun. Yeah. And while she was doing some scene, I glued down everything in her trailer. But I mean, if you pull it hard enough, it comes right off. But yeah, I glued her boots to the floor. I glued her brassiere to the doorknob.
You probably love
So that's fun.
Watching miserable, dysfunctional people with money is very entertaining.
It never disappoints.
It is. What a great cast too. I mean, this ensemble was fantastic, right?
Yeah, amazing people. And I mean, I can't tell you enough. I would show up to work, say, in the second half of the day, and the whole crew would be saying, "You should have been here this morning." J. Smith Cameron was on fire. Matthew McFadden was heartbreaking. Kieran was wet your pants funny. And everybody, whenever they gave anybody the ball, they would score, because we were given this beautiful material, and you couldn't wait to get to work. And you couldn't wait to see what everybody else was going to do.
Lots of Kieran questions here, by the way. Lots of Kieran questions. We'll get as soon as it happens. Some shows provide a little more freedom when developing a character, and some are pretty stringent. What do they allow for you to develop your character, Cameron?
Well, the writing was so good. What we all did was we just took our cues from the writing, and then what you do is you just build up your own backstory as you need it. So what I surmised, because I was told early on that Connor's mother is no longer on the planet. She's not alive anymore. And so how does a person develop that they say things when they're 55 years old? Dad, there's this job I want, it's called President of the United States. And mean it, you know? And so what I realized was this guy, he probably had ADHD, he had delusional disorder, he had different things going on. He had abandonment issues because his dad left his mom when he was 8, something like that, you know, and then...
Gives you a lot to work with.
Well, yeah. And then mom, we found out, had a liquor and pill problem, and she was in and out of mental institutions. So this boy was either in boarding school or at home with a mentally ill mother and never saw his dad, rarely. And what those families do lots of times is like, if I have a problem, I'll throw money at it. So this kid had all the money and none of the love. So that's you make up whatever story you need to fill up that framework.
And you ran for president.
And yes, he did.
1%. Yeah, they should.
That's 1 million people. That's 1 million people. That's not nothing.
What is your favorite memory working with John Hughes?
He did something similar to what happened on Succession, and I found this to be true with writers who are very confident, is they'll have you do it as written, and then they'll throw a bunch of alternates at you, like, try this, do this, would you have that, try something else, you know? And then they'll ask you to improvise, just like whatever comes out of your mouth. And John would do that, and we did that all the time on Succession.
Which is not normal on the set.
Well, I mean, there's some writers that listen, I don't have that gift. I don't have the gift, and without writers, we are nothing. We don't have, unless somebody makes it up, there is no movie, there is no show. But there's some writers who basically want you to take their words and frame them and put them on the wall. And the better experiences I've had are with people who are more flexible. And John was flexible with it.
Is that why you want to go to the strip club after this?
That is not true.
It's not true. All right, what is your favorite memory of the 80s?
I don't understand that anyway. That's like going and staring at steaks when you're hungry. That's dumb.
It's dumb. It's sad. All right, what is your favorite memory of the 80s in general? You were in your late 20s, early 30s, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was a really nice time in my life. I came to this town. I had the feeling that anything was possible. I started doing plays. I started doing little parts in movies. I got a Broadway show. I did a big movie. I got married for the first time. And I recommend it. Everybody ought to try it once. Or twice.
Who was the most fun to hang out with during filming?
Well, Jennifer Grey is a lucky charm for me. I did my first professional play ever with her in Chicago, here at a little theater. I don't think it exists anymore. The Apollo on Lincoln. Yeah. Is it still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And and then she showed up in Ferris Bueller, and then we were in a movie called The Bloodhounds of Broadway together.
What do you think Cameron did after high school or the rest of his life? Did he become Connor? He was smarter than Connor.
If he lived. If he made it through the rest of that day. I'm hoping that he became a professor somewhere and is happily married at some sleepy little college and has had a quiet, and I hope he found somebody who loved him, and made peace with the whole dad thing and just put that where it belonged.
Yeah, the dad thing was one of the biggest questions, is what happened when his dad came home?
Man,
Do you think?
I'm not entirely convinced that Cameron's still alive.
What happened to the original Red Wings jersey? And did you keep anything from the set? Did you get anything?
I of anything, and I'm not sure. Everybody asks about that jersey, and I mean, it was a good one. I mean, but I think if anybody has it, it's Marilyn Vance, who was the wardrobe designer. Or it could have just wound up in the vault somewhere, you know. I think the costume arm of Paramount was called Western Costume Company, and it might have just wound up in a drawer somewhere, you know, hanging on a rack.
If acting would not have been a thing for you, what would you be doing right now?
Jail.
All right, I've got a few more questions left here. What's Kieran Culkin like? So we're getting to Succession now.
If I could have a little brother, I'd want him to be exactly like Kieran Culkin.
Oh no.
He is so full of shit. You just can't help but love him. Yeah, he's great. I mean, wonderful actor, great guy. His wife is adorable. Her name's Jazz. They have 2 little babies now. He's doing good.
What episode of Succession was the most fun to make? Maybe more challenging to make for you?
It was early on. It was probably the biggest fun I had was in the first season, the charity ball. When I was put in charge of the charity ball. Yeah. And I lost my mind over the butter. Yeah. Hey, one thing. Tom Jacobson, are you here? Yeah. Oh. There he is, there you are. This guy was one of the producers on Ferris Bueller. Movies do not make themselves.
Don't you wanna have fun? Fool around with someone. Don't you wanna have fun?
Yep. I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.